Afternoon, everybody, and welcome to episode 20 of FranFunnel Live. Can't believe we've already gotten here. We have our favorite guest back today. The CTO of Metric Collective, Kevin Dolan, is joining us.
And thank you for having me once again.
All right. So the reason I wanted to have you on today, Kevin, is data security has been in the news a lot. And as a business weenie, as you sometimes call us, I sometimes believe that we don't really have an appreciation for what data security actually means. I'm not going to get in today with the details of all the different things that you can do or whatever, but I just want to talk to you when you think about your relationship with the business side of the house and we bring up data security, or we go see some interview and come to you and say, oh my gosh, data security, you know, what are we doing to secure our data? Just kind of get like a high level primer for what's going on there. So I'll just ask the highest level question. What does data security actually mean?
Well, data security, huge topic.
Right.
Not the type of thing that you could fit into a single individual's job. It's necessarily something that every single person in an organization who in any way touches actual customer data or proprietary data of any kind has to be thinking about it on some level. It extends from as basic a premise as make sure you have complicated passwords, make sure you're not writing them down in text documents, make sure you're not giving them away to strangers on the internet, and to things as complicated as, on-disk encryption technologies.
Wow.
Which involves a lot of math and a lot of complicated stuff, but at the end of the day can be boiled down to simple tools that people can understand.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you told me a while back that literally has stuck with me every day that I've gotten here is that when people talk about hacking, and people talk about it much more frequently than some sort of complicated like hacking into the back end and changing the files around, you talk about social engineering as the primary form of hacking, which is just people finding a way to log in normally, right?
So inevitably, we build technology that allows people to access customer data, send text messages, communicate with customers, and at some point we have to make that data consumable to our customers.
Sure.
And so if somebody is able to log into your system as if they are you, at the end of the day, that data is gone. That data is accessible to that person. So we can do everything possible to ensure technology level security. We can make sure our data is encrypted at risk. We can make sure it's never delivered over the plain text internet. We can do everything there. But at the end of the day, if your password leaks, your password leaks. And so data security involves so much more than just the technical solutions, and every now and then there is a technical hole. There is some, major heartbleed type incident where there is some technological flaw in a piece of software that is widely enough used that it's usable as like a major vector. But the much more common hacking comes from something as simple as sending a guy in a uniform to your office dressed in a security type outfit and asking for the server passwords.
Right.
Like that's totally common. And even more common is phishing emails with a PH. You may be familiar with that, where somebody literally just sends you an email pretending to be from some legitimate source like your technology provider and asking you to log into a system.
Right.
Like at that point, you've given away your credentials, and there are technical solutions that can alleviate this problem. Things like two-factor authorization, things like ensuring certain like password criteria. But at the end of the day, it requires you to have actual procedural controls within your organization to make sure that everybody's educated in the types of vectors that are common and preventing them from doing things that are stupid.
That makes a lot of sense to me. So as one of the business weenies around here, should I be losing sleep at night over data security? If so, what are the things I should be caring about? Or from your perspective, worrying about data security isn't worth all the time? What should I be thinking about as far as things I can do or think about?
Well, I mean, the role that we're playing here at FranFunnel, we are a data controller. We don't actually store the data on any servers around the office or anything. That's all outsourced to a team that has that down pat. But you do need to be thinking about it constantly because at any point, this could be a vector from which a good attack would happen. And so our engineers are constantly on this stuff. We're on the latest trends. We're aware of what types of attacks are being common right now. But it also requires controls on your level. It requires you to be a little bit diligent. When you receive an email that's ostensibly from me, for example, you need to make sure it's actually from me and you're not giving away any kind of information that I wouldn't typically be asking for over email.
Sure.
It requires you to share passwords securely when you need to give somebody a login to some tool that we use, like Mail Parser. It requires you to be using the standard tools that we have for securely sharing passwords and sharing logins and things like that. But it's not something that you have to lose sleep over. It's really just more of something that you need to be constantly aware of as a data controller and as a person who consumes proprietary data.
I think one of the things that muddles the situation a little bit is a lot of people were brought up in an environment from a technology perspective where data sat in a box on a server in the server room, right? That's where the data was. And a lot of things were in that box, but data was one of them. And so making sure that that was not compromised was something that was very much a part of business processes at the time. Now, as we move to the cloud and things become more decentralized, is that still a fair characterization? Like, is our data in a box somewhere, or is our data decentralized? I don't even know where it is.
Our data is definitely spread across a lot of different boxes in a lot of different places, but it's all behind security protocols that are better than is required.
Interesting.
At our cloud service providers, we're talking about armed guards, locked cabinets, where even the people who work there on those servers don't have physical access to them unless it's absolutely needed.
Gotcha.
And so, the cloud providers have established a very good track record for security at the physical level and security even at the network level. But, there are holes there. There are situations where we've seen the disks that people actually use having remnant data when people turn off their servers and things like that. So there are some attack vectors which you need to be aware of. But at the end of the day, the people who are working on security at these organizations are far more qualified than we are to handle these problems, far more aware of the trends than we are. And so a great deal of that level security is outsourced to them. That being said, there's still the application level security that we need to be aware of. So we need to make sure that when we are storing data, we're not just sending it over the wire such that other people can snoop it. We need to make sure that we're always using HTTPS, which we do. We need to make sure that we're never hosting insecure content. We need to make sure that we're never storing plain text passwords. There's a whole bunch of technical security things that we follow.
Sure.
And we have guidelines for doing that, and we are constantly aware of the trends. But the physical layer, the low level, the network layer, that's all taken care of by people who are smarter than us.
It's always nice to work with people smarter than you, that know more than you about certain things. I'll end on this. I alluded to the fact that I lose sleep sometimes over data security things, for better or for worse. What about you? Are there, in the many sides of our technology organization that you're in charge of, is this one that you're like, this is something I need to keep an eye on, this is something whatever? Or once again, are you trying to just set up systems and processes and assuming we did that correctly, it doesn't affect your day to day?
Yeah, it definitely weighs on me. And from time to time, I need to be doing risk assessments. So I do from time to time analyze our entire organization for where potential security risks might be. And whenever something rises up, becomes sort of a red flag, it's something that needs to be addressed. And you've seen some of these events from time to time. But it's not something that weighs on me too heavily. I don't lose sleep over it because having anxiety about it doesn't really get you any more secure systems.
Yes, worrying about a hack does not mean that you're any less or more likely to get hacked.
Right.
Solutions rather than anxiety.
Yep.
I like that. Well, for those of us on the business side, it's nice to always get the perspective of somebody who's thinking about this a little bit more than us. I think especially if you watch mainstream media and the way that the technology industry is covered, one would imagine that data security is the #1 issue facing our industry. And as Kevin and I could talk about forever, it's one of many things that we need to think about. So thanks for tuning in for episode 20. And Kevin, we'll look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.